This is a great, oh, thank you, Tom. This is a great turnout. I hope more people join, but hello, everybody. We're so excited because today is the Power of Mentoring webinar. And I just want to give a shout out to Brittany Dixon, who is my webinar co-host, and she has a big part of getting this together, as well as Angela, who is my person who helps organize everything when my brain doesn't function. So, why are we here? So, we're here to celebrate, first of all, Lynda Starr and have her show us the power of mentoring and explain to us, well, why is this important to us? She's going to show us how leaders can create leaders, how skills grow in leadership roles, the value in the Pathway Project, because I think we could all benefit from that, and how to lead beyond the club. So, Lynda Starr is a Toastmaster, which is our highest honor in Toastmasters. So, and she's also a prior regional advisor and also former Rutgers alumni. So, I have to give another shout out. And without further ado, I will present Lynda Starr to show us the power of mentoring. Take it away, Lynda.
Thank you, Ivana, for that lovely introduction. It is great to be here in District 45. And if we have people from other districts, welcome to you as well. So, as Ivana said, we're going to talk about being a leader. What does that mean to become a leader? How do we find other leaders? Building leaders. How do we use mentoring to build leaders? How Pathways fits in all this, and life beyond the club. I was talking to a Toastmaster friend the other day, and I was telling her that I was going to do this session. And she said, well, can you really teach people leadership? Or is that just something you either have or don't have and you just have to do? I said, well, I think that there are certain skills that you can teach people and you can help people to discover the best within themselves, and that would be how we can teach people leadership. So the first question is, excuse me, what is a leader? Long ago, far away, I used to think about leadership in terms of things like the follow the leader game, where you have one person, put your hands on your head, skip around the room. And really that is not leadership at all. That's just a game of imitation and following what people are doing. But that person who's a leader is really not a leader. Then I started to think about leadership as being the top person, the top banana, the king or queen. Now, look at me. I'm the leader. I'm important. I'm special. Then as I got more involved in management at work and leadership in Toastmasters, I realized that I was thinking about leadership all wrong. Being a leader, it's not about you. It's about the needs of the team, and you put those needs, the needs of the organization, the needs of your team members ahead of your own. You have skills. You do have certain skills and knowledge that you use to help other people, to find the best within them, to push them farther. You empower other people. That is one of my favorite words, empower, because there's two sides of that. There's telling people that you believe in them and you're giving them ownership and responsibility for tasks. But there's also that, what I had a district director call proactive empowerment. And yes, you do have to say it that way, like you're a game show host. And that's really when you take on yourself and you say, I'm going to do this. I know I can do this, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to lead. I'm going to find new goals. You have to celebrate success of the people on your team and show appreciation for what others are doing. It's very easy to start to take people for granted and not give them credit for what they've done along the way. So the idea of putting others ahead of yourself as a leader really comes from the idea of servant leadership, which is something that was developed by Robert Greenleaf, who was a director of management development at AT&T. And in 1970, he published a book called The Servant as Leader. And then, as I said before, he was one of the first people to say, it's not about the leader. Success is not about the leader. It's about achieving goals that benefit the organization, keep, in this case, employees, he said, but it could be team members, Toastmaster members, motivated and satisfied. We probably all have heard that famous statement from our founder, Ralph Smedley. We learn the most in moments of enjoyment. So if people are excited to be involved in Toastmasters, to come to their club meetings, to come to district activities, then they're going to hopefully want to do more and build and grow on their skills. So servant leaders do put other people ahead of themselves, but they're not totally subservient. You do need to take charge of things. You need to think about, what does my team need from me? Do they need to have a certain resources? How can I remove obstacles? How can I make things easier for my team members to achieve success? How can I set people up for success? And just as important, what can I learn from other people? So it's not being at the front of the line, it's actually being in the back of the line, the back of the crowd, and giving your members that little nudge that they need to move forward and achieve their goals to the benefit of themselves and of the organization. And thinking that everyone brings value. I worked at the company and we use the expression, it's disposition, not position. Meaning that somebody can be the newest member and they can have a good idea, because whether they're just out of college or from a different company, they've had experience and knowledge and they can bring that to the table as well. It's not just, I'm here, I'm the leader, I'm the boss, I know everything. Because of course that is rarely the case. So servant leaders generally believe to serve first and lead second. So you're helping others, as I said, to achieve success. So how do we help people to achieve success as a leader? As I said before, it's not about, there are people who have that innate leadership ability, but not everyone does. And I think that you can help people to build leadership traits by finding what is inside of them that will propel them into that direction. So if you're at a meeting, whether it's a club meeting or a contest, look for people who are responsive, responsible. Who are the people who are willing to take on tasks? It can be a very simple task in terms of passing out agendas or setting up chairs. Look for people who have made strides in their leadership skills. That member who started out as sergeant at arms, and then the next year was VP membership, and the next year they were president of the club. Those are the people that they have something. They have that willingness, and they probably achieve success in each of their roles. Ask members about their goals. Sometimes people just don't step up because no one asked them, or we don't know what they're capable of. You have somebody who's new and you ask them, well, what do you do at work? And maybe they've been on an event. Maybe they're an event planner at work. Perfect. You can be in our conference committee. or maybe they want to go into management at work. They want to get a promotion. Well, what does that entail for them? Well, it means if I get that promotion, I'm going to need to lead meetings. I'm going to need to give presentations. I'm going to need to help build plans or budgets. They've hit on several different roles there. Maybe they'd be good to be club president. Maybe they'd be good to be the finance manager for the district or be on the audit committee. That is always a tough one to find people for, because even though, as I have on here, that from Stefano McGee, who is now the president-elect of Toastmasters International, you don't need to be qualified for a job in Toastmasters because it is that learning laboratory. But you do need, for something like the finance manager, the audit committee, you do need to have, some basic understanding of finance and be able to do more than just balance your checkbook. So look for people who are enthusiastic, hardworking, people who work well with others. You don't want, while it's good for people to be able to take charge and work independently, you don't want that person who is just going to do things on their own, go rogue. As Angela said while we were waiting to begin this meeting, it takes a village. So team, another one I always like to say is teamwork makes the dream work. Excuse me. So you want to get people who work well with others, play as well in the sandbox. So what types of people should you look for to be leaders? Well, this was from an article I found, so these are not my names, but you have the ideal Ians. So that's the person who might be new to your district, and they are the ones that have past experience. So they've had leadership roles. Maybe they were a division director in another district, and you can just quite easily slot them into the role. Trainable Tinas, those are people who are willing to learn. They may have some leadership skills, as in they will help people along. They're very supportive of other people. They give good feedback, willing to learn and willing to take feedback. Very important. Third one might be a little tricky, but I think you should not ignore these people. They're called the freeloading Freddies. Those are the people who come to events and always have an opinion. Well, this is not how you do it. If I were going to do it, I would set up the room like this, or I wouldn't have run my conference this way. Like, oh, well, do you have an opinion? That's great. Those are really great ideas. Whether or not you think they're great ideas at that particular moment, those are really great ideas. Would you like to be on the committee? And hopefully they will say yes. You have to be prepared for them to say the line that anybody who's in leadership anywhere will hear these words that just make you cringe of, oh, I don't have time for that. Those are the people who think that when you sign that officer agreement form in Toastmasters, that automatically you're handed 2 extra hours a day. But sometimes you will get a Freddie who would be helpful. So how else can you identify leaders? Look around, as I said, for people who are helpful. They take initiative to help. You can be, as I said, passing out papers. Oh, yes, I'll take a role. You need a timer for your meeting? Sure, I can do that. People who communicate well. People who are very friendly and will talk to people and try to connect with them, learn about other people. People embody the Toastmaster mission of being mutually supportive, giving other people a chance to learn and grow. And people who ask good questions. There's always that person who kind of asks questions, even though people say there are no stupid questions, there are no bad questions. There are no bad ideas. There are no stupid questions. There are no bad ideas. We all know that is not the truth. But there are people who do ask good questions in terms of, well, what if we did this? Or have you thought about doing that? And those are the people who you want to get onto the leadership track. And make people aware of opportunities. Sometimes people just don't do things because they just don't know about it. Oh, I didn't know that you could that you have a conference, or I didn't know that that you're doing these monthly workshops. You know, do you need somebody to present on whatever topic? You know, do you need somebody to present on facilitation or how to run an online meeting? I think that's a Pathways project as well. And as I said before, ask them about what they want to do with their own lives, and that may help them to determine what role would be best for them. We all have our stories about how we joined Toastmasters, why we stayed, and what we've gained by our Toastmaster experience. There's a saying that's circulating throughout Toastmasters that we joined to help ourselves, we stayed to help others. And I would say that I fall into that category. Briefly, I joined Toastmasters because I had a performance evaluation at work. At the time, I was working as a telecommunications industry analyst. And I was told, which was not really a surprise to me, that, well, you do very well when you're presenting, when you're doing a presentation, because you've prepared for it, you've practiced it, you know what you're doing, but you could use more help in the Q&A section, networking with people. And I thought, okay, I'll join. Back in those days, it was the competent communicator. I said, okay. I thought to myself, I didn't tell them, all right, I'll join. I'll do this competent communicator manual. Probably take about a year. I'll show them at work that I've listened to their feedback, and then I'm out of here. Number one of famous last words from Lynda. So I did that, and then I started to like Toastmasters. I liked the people. I thought I was gaining from it. I was gaining confidence. I was gaining skills that sometimes you don't know what you're lacking. I think that was true for me. I thought, I think I'm a pretty decent public speaker. Then I realized, I didn't realize I was a bad public speaker, but I realized there's always room for improvement, growth. There's a lot I could do. And so I actually ended up not staying at that particular job, which is an entirely other story that we won't go into now. But I started to like Toastmasters. I liked the experience. Famous last words number 2. We were talking about a contest in the club, and I said, I don't think I want to do anything outside the club. And then, lo and behold, the incoming district director said, would you like to be an area, it's actually area governor before they were area directors, because I'm 150 years old. And I was like, oh, well, what's an area governor? Do I want to do this? I spoke with my mentors, who I like to call my Toastmaster goddesses. And they said, well, if you want to get your DTM, you need to be an area governor. I'm like, do I want to get a DTM? Well, okay, I like to be helpful. That's another thing, look for in people who like to be helpful. Thought, okay, I will do it. Loved it. Got hooked on the leadership path and kept going from there up through the district. And as Ivana told you, I'm the region advisor. I'm involved in some international committees, and I am still here. So what did Toastmasters give me? It gave me confidence. It gave me the ability to say, I don't have to do this. So when things kind of, well, we'll say, went slightly south at work, where it was no longer really, I lost my passion for my job, I thought, there's other things I can do. And now I pivoted my life, and now I am teaching at university level. And that would be something that I would not have done without Toastmasters. So if you can get people to tell you stories like that, sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent, but if you can get people to tell you stories like that, you can see why they're here, what they want to accomplish and what Toastmasters has done for them. Those are the types of people who you want in leadership because they have what we would call in my home district of 83 the Manny virus. He was a one of our district directors, and he had that enthusiasm, that contagious inspiration that could get people to do things. He could find out what you wanted and how he could help make that happen for you while you were giving back to the district at the same time. So how do we do this? How do we get people into leadership? Start small. You may, even though I say we're a learning laboratory, you don't want people's first role in the district to be something that is too much for them. We don't throw people in the deep end to see if they can swim. So if you think maybe they would be great as a conference chair, but they've never done anything like that, give them a committee role. Maybe they could be the education chair, the registration chair, or whatever. Give them a job description, a playbook. This is what this role entails. So many times people get into Toastmaster roles because it's either it sounds interesting to them, they don't totally understand what they need to do, but they want to help the district. And then what happens is probably around this time of year, so they started in July, around this time of year, things are getting busy, in their personal life, and they're like, why did I ever say I would do this? And in some cases, they realize that they did it to learn, to grow, to help the district, and they continue. At other times, they're like, I don't need this. I'm out of here. Have them shadow somebody. So this really works well in the club, where you can have somebody, like if you think that they would be a good VP membership, have them work with your current VP membership and see what they do and how they can learn. Give people time to learn, even to fail, if it's something that can be recouped easily. You don't want them to fail and mess up your entire TLI because they didn't get a venue, they didn't get any speakers, and the day comes and how's everything going? You keep asking, how's everything going? And, oh, it's great. Everything's great. And then suddenly you realize that they have nothing. So you need to make sure, as the person overseeing the leader, the new leader, that you give them a safe space to learn and to keep you posted on exactly what's happening so that you can step in if things start to quickly fall apart. So why don't people want to be leaders? They don't want to be leaders because they're afraid of failing. The time commitment, as I said, people think they get that extra 2 hours, which they don't. They think they're going to be judged. They're afraid of making mistakes, and they don't know what they've agreed to. So that's why you need that playbook, so that people understand exactly what it is that they need to do, and let them know that, excuse me, while you're giving them ownership, you're going to be there to help them along the way. So now we're going to move into the mentoring section. So John Crosby, who is a journalist, and he was a judge on the Massachusetts Supreme Court, said mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. So mentoring has been around for a long time. We think that, oh, this is so modern and so new, but really it goes all the way back to Greek mythology. So Odysseus was going off to fight in the Trojan War, and he gave his son, Telemachus, to his friend, Mentor. Ring any bells? So that's how we came with the idea that a mentor is a person who is a wise and trusted guide, an advisor, a teacher. It can also be a verb. You can mentor someone. So that's your bit of trivia for the day. So we know what a leader is. What is Oh, before we do that, I have one more question for you. If you could either put in the chat or yell out if you know any examples of famous mentor relationships. I'll give you one example while you're thinking about this so you know which direction to go in. So, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook was mentored by Steve Jobs. And I can't see the chat, so if Ivana, Brittany, if one of you are seeing anything in the chat, let me know.
Nothing in the chat yet, but folks feel free to use the chat to leave an answer or ask any questions there. Oh, there's one. Freud and is it Young? Is that how you pronounce?
Jung, okay,
Young? Okay, yeah.
good one. The ones that I found were Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, Maya Angelou, mentored Oprah Winfrey. And if we want to take a fictional example, we have Yoda mentored Luke Skywalker. So being a mentor is a valuable experience. So if people like, Oprah, who people think is such a goddess, I mean, she had a mentor, then, sometimes people feel that they don't want a mentor because they don't want to bother somebody, or they don't, they have confidence issues, and they think, oh, who would want to mentor me? I'm not going to amount to anything. But you absolutely can, being that mentor, the mentor will help you to find things within you that you didn't even know were there. So a mentor could be a role model. A mentor is, as I said, from definition, is a wise and trusted advisor. You have to be a good listener. You can't go in there the same way if anybody was a club coach. You don't go in and say, I'm here, I'm the king and queen, I'm the queen as your club coach. And in order to fix, we'll put that in air quotes, in order to fix your club, you need to do this, this, and this. No, you need to be there to help the club, to help either your mentee or your I always get your protege. I get prodigy and protege confused all the time. Help them to find success, to find their goals, and to figure out what they want to do. So it's not about you going in and telling the mentee what they need to do. It's helping them to find what they want to do. And then when they tell you, I want to do this, this, and this, I want to get my DTM, I want to participate in the international speech contest, I hope to be district director one day, then you know what you can work on with them and what skills you can help them to develop. Now, some people use the term coach and mentor interchangeably, but I would say that they are two different things. A coach would work on a specific project. So you could coach somebody to work on, if they come in and say, I want to work on this year's international speech contest, then that would be a coaching project because it's a defined project. If they're saying this is my goal for whatever, a year from now, that would be a mentor project, is more of a long-term relationship. So the mentor provides feedback, knowledge, the secret sauce. I like to say the recipe for the secret sauce. If you're a person who says, well, I achieved success on my own, why should I share what I did with somebody else? You're probably not the right person to be a mentor because you want to be there to guide them, to help them. Same way as a servant leader, put your mentee's needs ahead of your own. Help people to challenge themselves. And what do they want to know? You don't have to have all the answers as the mentor, but you can ask questions, you can ask other people. You can have, I don't think I have a slide on this, but it's worth mentioning. As a mentor, well, you can learn from your mentee, but you can also have a mentor. So just because you feel like, well, I've been in Toastmasters for 20 years, you can still have a mentor. You can have more than one mentor. If you want to have a mentor to help you with contests, if you have a mentor to help you work on your leadership path, if you want to have a mentor to work on your vocal variety, you can have each of those. I just started this week with somebody who I would call it more of that we're mentor buddies. We're both long-term Toastmasters, but we both realize that we've kind of plateaued, maybe is the word. And, you start to take things, I wouldn't say shortcuts, but while, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when we joined Toastmasters, we'd work on our speeches for a month. Now it's like, I know what I'm doing. I'll just put this together the day before the club meeting. So we decide we're going to work together so that we get back to that enthusiasm and that skill building that we had as new members. But in any case, the mentor and the mentee together would define what the goals are for the relationship. We are Toastmasters, so we all know about the Toastmaster evaluation model, right? It's an evaluation, it's not a critique. So you look at what they're doing right, what they can improve on, how they can challenge themselves. Remember, it's a two-way conversation. As I said a minute ago, you can learn from your mentee, the mentee learns from the mentor. Reward successes along the way. Even just a small success is worth celebrating. And as Ralph Smedley said, I've mentioned this before, we learn in moments of enjoyment. Find the fun. Make it a fun experience for your mentee to work with you. And it should be fun for you, the mentor, as well. So as the mentor, you're going to build your skills. Those of you who know me know that I do like to have quotes, cliche, even if they sound a little cliches. I think they summarize things well. That you can. The mentor relationship is a lot about teaching the person how to fish, not giving them the fish. So helping them to build skills. You can build your own skills as a mentor. You can learn things about yourself that you didn't know. You can pay it back or pay it forward for help. There were probably mentors that you had along the way, whether it was formal or informal. It gives you a great feeling of achievement and pride to know that when you look at somebody and know that you've helped them to reach their goals. And it gives you an opportunity to meet new people and build your network. The relationship with a mentor-mentee can be formal or informal. So it can be formal as in it's assigned by your club VP education within a district. If you're an area director, there might be some cases where they assign you to maybe a different division director. If you're a division director, you might be assigned a mentor from somebody in the trio or a past leader in the district. Or it can just be somebody you admire and you think, wow, I want to be like DJ. I wonder if she would mentor me. I think that Angela is a great leader with the goals. She has her coaching business and she talks about that messy middle, and I bet she could help me get through my issues. I'm going to ask Angela if she'll be my mentor. So why do you need that mentor? because it's somebody who will give you honest feedback. Personal accountability. So for me, non-Toastmaster example, for years I've been saying, I want to find somebody to be a gym buddy. So I will take any excuse I can not to go to the gym, not to go work out. But if I knew that I was going to meet Brittany at the gym on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock, I would do my best to be there. I would not think about, oh, why should we, reasons not to be there, because I know that she's depending on me. So if I have a mentor and I've been working with them and know that we have put together a timeline saying, okay, you're going to do 2 speeches a quarter. I'm going to make sure that I keep up with that. So yeah, if you have a specific goal you want to accomplish. I think I mentioned this already, that contagious inspiration, that if you have somebody who's enthusiastic, loves Toastmasters, loves whatever, their work project, they're going to help you. It's going to make you more excited as well. Tell your mentor exactly what it is that you want to do and how they can help you. It's going to be a good fit. So if you are the type of person who wants to be nurtured, find somebody who's nurturing. If you want somebody who is going to whip your butt, and excuse the expression, whip your butt into shape and be tough with you, tough love, then you want to find that type of person who will treat you that way. You don't want to have the one who's, oh, you tried your best, it's okay. I mean, you don't want somebody who's beating you up all the time, but you want somebody whose style matches your own. We've all done those communication style, leadership styles in Toastmasters, Toastmaster level 2. And so do you want a direct person who's direct? Do you want somebody who's nurturing, affiliative? Do you want somebody who is calm, somebody who's very well organized? Are you okay? Do you want somebody who's going to make you stick to that schedule, or do you want somebody who's like a little more lenient? It's whatever works for you. So think about what your goals are when you're choosing your mentor. Their communication style, as I just said. Can I work well with this person? I mean, there's all types of people in the world. We know that you can't be best buddies with everybody. You don't get along with everybody, but you need to gel. Sometimes you meet people right away and you realize that you like this person, you understand them. Other times, if you get somebody who is very analytical and you're more of that affiliative, it may not work out. You have to respect that person. You should respect everybody, but all right. I see things in the chat. Did we get through those already?
I
I
think
don't
we
see
have
that actual
another
chat.
example of the mentor relationship. So there was Lee Strasberg and Marlon Brando.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then a comment here as well. So I always had mentors in different phases of life, personal life, professional life, several people I look up to, including in Toastmasters. So just a kind of nice comment there.
Okay, yes, definitely. So that's a very good point. So you don't have to have the same mentor. As I said, you can have multiple mentors. You don't have to have the same. Mentoring is not like a marriage that you hope it's going to be a lifelong commitment. You can, if you work with a mentor for a year, 6 months, whatever. The Toastmaster project, I think, is 6 months with a mentor. That you can work with the person and you can decide to continue. You can decide that they're not the right person because your interests have changed. That is perfectly all right, and they should understand that. You can have, I said you can have different mentors for different things. You can have, I think that's it, different mentors for different types of projects. All right, so you have to have an honest relationship. You have to be committed to the goal. I mean, things do come up in life. If you decide you're going to meet every Wednesday night, or whatever it is, once a month on Wednesday nights, if you keep on, and the mentee generally should be the one who does the driving, so to speak, of saying, okay, this is my goal. This is how often I want to meet. But you have to be committed to that. If you're always canceling, then your mentor is probably not going to appreciate that because they've set up their schedule around helping you. You have to be able to take feedback. And we try to be good Toastmasters and give people constructive feedback. I always talk about, when I talk about mentors and giving feedbacks, I think about the old days of American Idol, when you had Simon Cowell and Paula Abdul. And Simon would get up there, and he was fun to listen to, but he would say things like, "Whoever told you you could sing? Now why don't you just crawl back into your hole?" And Paula would say something like, "You look so happy to be up there." And then she'd say something like, "Oh, too bad you can't. You were totally off tune, but you looked really happy, really excited." And at least that person still had their self-respect when they went to sit back down, as opposed to Simon, who would not be a good Toastmaster. So pick the person who is right for you is the message of the slide. So when you set up your mentor relationship, what would they like to improve? What are they passionate about? How do they like to receive feedback? I talked about that already. And may I be honest with you? If they say, "Well, no, I really like you to sugarcoat things," maybe not the best relationship because it's not going to help them as much. All right, switching gears, we're going to look at pathways now. And for pathways, so pathways is obviously our Toastmasters education program. There are some paths that are very specific to leadership, dynamic leadership. They have names like that. The next slide has the names. But any path will help you with leadership because, after all, Toastmasters is where leaders are made. So you need both the communication skills and the leadership skills. It also helps you to build confidence, self-awareness, which will all help you to be a good leader. So think about your goals when you're picking your path. So if you're looking to advance your career, get a promotion, dynamic leadership, strategic relations might be a good one. If you're really focused on public speaking, presentation mastery or engaging humor could work. If you're looking at your personal development, I want to say that they don't have effective coaching anymore. Does anybody know that for sure? I think that might be a mistake on here. Innovative planning.
Yeah, that is one of the ones that has gone away. So yeah, you're right.
Which effective coaching?
Effective coaching, yeah.
Yeah. All right, I need to update that. Thanks, Tom. So Toastmasters in and itself is great for leaders. This is from the Toastmasters brochure, Your Path to Leadership. And they define as a leader as somebody who empowers others to accomplish personal goals and contributes to the successful completion of group objectives. So that's pretty similar to the definition that I gave. What's in it for you? Toastmasters helps you to become the leader and speaker you want to be, to sharpen your management skills, to gain the trust and inspire your team. The club is the foundation for the Toastmaster experience. So we have the feedback you get, opportunity to take on new positions. My favorite one here, interactive learning environment, or as I like to say, it's a learning laboratory. You have mentors, different club roles. Toastmaster obviously is helping you to host. If something like a timer is help you to be organized. The ah counter, the grammarian will help you on your listening skills. Table topics, of course, for impromptu. And then you have all the different skills, leadership skills, writing skills, networking opportunities, self-confidence, all things that are good for leadership. They're also good for career development. So Toastmasters, when people say to me, what's Toastmasters? I say, well, the short answer is it's a communication and leadership organization, but it is so much more than that. As we all know, all types of communication, different types of leadership. So if you look at the competencies, so Toastmasters has 5 core competencies: public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. Then you look at the 6 existing paths and you see which paths work on which competencies. So that can be useful for picking your paths. You can pick a path by doing the assessment, as you know, or if you can do the assessment and they tell you to do motivational strategies and you think, not really my cup of tea, I don't want to do that, I'm going to do visionary communication. That's perfectly fine. The computer's not going to be insulted. Pick whatever path you think is best for you. So one of my favorites, as I said long ago, I once said, I don't want to do anything outside the club. But there's really, if the club is the foundation, so if you're building a house, yes, you need that strong foundation. But you can't live in a foundation of a house. You need that full house. You need that full experience. So I would say go outside your club. Be an area director. Be a division director. Be on various committees. As you move up the ladder, then you become on the executive committee, where you could be the district director someday, finance manager, division director, area director. And then if you do all that, you don't have to. No, but I'm not saying that everybody has to be as committed to Toastmasters as I am. People I know in my home club say, oh, that Lynda, she drank that Toastmasters Kool-Aid. But there are opportunities for you beyond the club, and you can go all the way district, you can go to the region, you can go beyond that. So your district has, the best place to start going outside your club is with your district activities. So they have training, you know that, I'm sure, networking opportunities, recognition events, the speech contests, the workshops like this, your district council meeting, all ways to learn about your district, get new experiences. And I'll conclude with our good friend Ralph Smedley, who said, ours is the only organization I know dedicated to the individual. We work together to bring the best of each of us, and then we apply these skills to helping others. Which brings us back to what I said earlier, that we join for ourselves, and then we stay to help others. So does anybody have any questions or comments? Let me stop the share so I can actually see you.
Lynda, great presentation. I do have a question, and mine's pretty brief for a change. The mentee does the driving. I love that because I tend to want to, when I'm mentoring somebody, to do the driving. And so we kind of fight over the steering wheel. Do you have any suggestions on how to help the mentee take the wheel?
I think you need to let them know that you are there to help them. You are there to help them reach their goal. And the only way that you can do that is that if they take ownership, that you're there to help them, but they have to be that, it's that proactive empowerment. They need to take it on themselves, because you're not going to tell them you need to do this, you need to do that. If they don't take ownership, nothing's going to happen. You'll just be sitting in neutral.
Thank you.
Joseph, hello.
Can you hear me, Lynda?
Yes.
You spent the last hour very nicely explaining the importance of being a mentor, being a leader, and being a coach. I think the worst fault of Toastmasters is the fact that in executive positions, there's no such thing as VP mentorship, VP coaching, and yet it's tantamount to getting people off their feet. It started off as a public speaking a means for people to become good orators and everything like that. The most basic thing is to help people from point one. Instead of going cold turkey, get off their feet, learn basic skills to get them to do their very first speech. And if there's no VP mentorship, especially in large clubs of 50, 40 people, it's very hard to seek one out that's going to be appropriate for you. This should be taken up at the international. This should be fun. And I know individual clubs can actually appoint a VP
Yeah, that's what I was
membership
going to
or
say, that
coach.
you can have a mentoring chair. I mean, your VPE would probably help to spearhead, but they can appoint, or somebody can, well, I say appoint, but meaning somebody can volunteer or be voluntold to be, well, why don't you be the chair, the mentoring chair for the club? And people can get, I'm not a person who believes that everything you have to do in Toastmasters you need to get credit for. But if you can get credit for something, you should. So that can become an HPL project, a DTM project, where somebody becomes the VP membership and comes up with a plan of here's how we're going to build a mentoring program. And you could also do it at the district level. You can talk to your district leaders. That would be under the PQD, the program quality director, and maybe at that level, come up with a district-wide mentoring chair. So there are ways around it without having an official VP mentoring, but I understand where you're going, and I agree. We talk about, right, it's that balance between we talk about leadership and then, right, how do we, specifically help people to become leaders?
Thank you. Some excellent questions and comments so far. I left a note there in the chat. Feel free, you can drop your questions in there, or as folks have done, raise your hand or unmute if you have any questions. As we're waiting for any more to come through, I do have a question myself. So you've talked about the qualities that make an effective mentor, but I'm kind of curious, within those qualities for an effective mentor in Toastmasters, are there some ways that they differ in qualities that a general leader might have? Or do you see them as interchangeable, or are there some differences there? Leaders versus mentors?
Interesting question. I think they have some similarities because, of course, a mentor is a leader. So it's the same servant leadership of helping people to grow. It's not about you. That's why I say you don't go in and say, I'm the king, I'm the queen. You have to listen to me because it's not about you. It's about that person you're helping. So it's that helping people to, if you look at, as I said, I teach at a university, so we're just discussing this in class, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You start off with food, shelter, clothing, and then you get up to that self-actualization, helping people to be the best that they can be. So that's both a leader and a mentor, but I would say it's just the question that the mentor has more opportunity to focus specifically on the person, while the leader is looking more at the overall goals of the organization. Oh, I'm looking at you, Sharon. I'm looking at your backdrop. Sorry, I have to put my glasses on to see the empower, engage, excel. Love that. What does that say, 53?
And I think, did I see Angela's hand up or waving? Is it up for a question? Yeah.
I really don't have a question, but I have a comment, because a lot of times the mentees are like, I don't know what it means to drive it. How do I drive it? Well, I've had a lot of mentors in my life, and one of the ways that mentees can drive it is to drive the agenda. So when you say, hey, we're going to meet on Thursday, these are the 3 things that I really want to cover. and give them ahead of time. When you want to have a conversation, want to have a meeting, these are the two issues that I really want to cover. And that way, that's a way for the mentee to drive it. And the mentor knows that the mentor is actually helping the mentee with what they're dealing with right now. So that's
Excellent. Yes,
one of
I
the
agree.
ways the mentee can drive that.
Good answer, Angela.
I think Sharon, do you have a question?
Thank you. Lynda, I have a question for you. One of the things in our club that we have an issue with is no one thinks they're, I don't want to say good enough, but they don't want to volunteer to be a mentor because they don't think they can do it. Is there any trick or thing that you could suggest? You know, we tell people, hey, you learn when you mentor as well as helping others. You just have to be able to listen and find the answers. But is there any little thing you can think of that can help us to encourage people to be a mentor?
Yes. So you can start off with people as mentor buddies. So I was talking about how I'm a mentor buddy with somebody because we feel like we're both advanced. So when you start off with, okay, so it's not so much that person A is going to be guiding person B, but you're both going to work together, accountability partners, helping each other to figure things out. And if they do that, then one person may end up emerging as more of the mentor. But you start off as, okay, you're both going to help each other. And then people don't have that fear of, what if I give the person bad advice? Because I think that's why people don't want to do it, because they're afraid that they're going to mislead somebody. Donna?
So the way we did it this year was like the way we assign club roles in a meeting. We asked people at the meeting, at the business part of the meeting, go around, what do you want to learn about this year? And they would say, I want to learn about X, Y, and Z. And then we would say, who here can help with that? Or who have you seen in the club that you think can help you with that? And we match people up that way. So a lot of it was very simple. Like, I want to learn about how to use Canva. And people would be like, I know that. So it made it very focused, and we really concentrated on mentoring is not a marriage that lasts for life. You have one goal, you do it, and then when you have a new goal, we'll talk about it again, and you can say what thing you want to learn next and find out who in the circle can give it to you. And sometimes we didn't have anybody in our particular club, but we would know that in another club, this person has that skill and I'll hook you up with them. So if you make it very targeted and action oriented and do it in real time, it makes it a lot easier and less scary.
Love it. Yeah, because you're getting people right. You're getting people who you may not have even known that person has Canvas skills. Or it's interesting you say, somebody says, well, who do you think can help you? And they're like, oh, I've heard so and so talk about, that they've done whatever. So it gives people that sense of power, that feeling like, okay, I'm not just sometimes it's good to assign people, but sometimes it gives them a feeling that they're responsible. So the TV show The Voice, right? The people get to pick who's going to be the contestants get to pick who's going to be their coach.
All right, well, thank you all so much for your questions. We're almost at the hour. I did just see Joseph's hand up. If you have a quick question to slip in before the hour.
Maybe I should have saved it, but seeing you gave me the opportunity, I'll say very briefly that in very many clubs right now, possible mentors and coaches are starting to go private. You want to coach with me? You're going to pay me, that type of thing. It happens too often. We already pay dues. Some people can't afford it. It's not being properly institutionalized in that respect. And people don't know what they're going to be paying for. But I don't know how pervasive it is in District 45. I see it in a lot of other districts too. It's become a racket.
Well, we're a volunteer organization. I mean, yes, we pay dues, but we're a volunteer organization. I would not encourage people to. I mean, people can have whatever kind of I mean, it's a good business if you can do it, but the same way that there are rules, if somebody has a list, a membership list, whether it's for their club, the area, the district, whatever, you can't send out an email using a Toastmaster list to solicit people for your business. So that would be where you would have the district would have some power over how people are, I don't know if this is the right word because I don't know the situation, pressuring people for their paid services. And I have seen people do, not necessarily for coaching. I have seen people that it was obvious that they sent it to the Toastmaster list, and they were reprimanded. We'll say they weren't punished, but they were called. That's the word, called out for, like, okay, you can't send your information on your catering business to everyone in the district. It's a misuse of the confidentiality of the list.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for your attendance today, and especially Lynda. And before I turn it back over to Brittany and Ivana, does anybody mind if I take a quick picture? All right. So give me your best smiles. There we go. And just a couple of quick announcements from me. And give me a microphone and I will talk. There is a upcoming fall workshop, November 22nd. We still have until Friday if you'd like to present. Some of you I know are. And so I'm very, very lucky to have Paula Tozier, who's on the call, as our host for the fall workshop. And can't wait to start that. We have past international president Matt Kinsey as our keynote, but we have a lot of great speakers. And in fact, Sharon, we have Jeff Sobel from District 53. He's going to be one of our panelists for our panel discussion on change. And it's, what is it again, Paula? I'm drawing a complete blank.
Resilient leadership,
Resilient leadership.
leading in times of transition. Yes.
Thank you. And Paul has been a tremendous asset. So sorry for stealing that spotlight, Ivana. And Brittany, back to you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Tom. And thank you, Lynda, for showing us why you are the star that you are, and also helping us remind of the American Idol days where Simon Cowell, I think all of us have PTSD from his critiques.